Okay, what's up, everybody? It's Kelly Monster. I'm back, and sorry I've been away for a little bit.
Sega.
I've actually had a pretty heavy career change come down the pipeline, so I'm actually in a hotel right now. I've got a little bit of free time, and I brought my laptop with me. And I wanted to use these next few days to kind of maybe pump out a couple of YouTube videos or something like that. But because I'm kind of on the go right now, I figured a good way to get back into it would be to play a good old, just kind of dumb fun action game, and I chose Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine, just because I've been kind of on a Warhammer 40,000 kick recently. Just I always find myself like looking at the Wikipedia articles and just reading up on the lore. And I first played this game when it came out on the Xbox 360, and yeah, it's a little bit of an older game, but I think it's still really fun. So without any further ado, this is actually the third take of trying to record this episode, just because there's been messing with audio levels and everything, trying to it sounds different when it's finally done, so I've had to mess with it a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and start a new campaign. Thankfully, I am familiar with the controls by now, having tried this 3 times already. But basically, if you're not really up on Warhammer 40k, just a heads up, this game does not explain itself at all. Basically what it is about 40,000 years from present day is when this whole storyline is supposed to happen. And it is basically kind of like a dystopian future human society where we're really technologically advanced but socially backwards, caused by basically religious suppression of ideals. So technology is really high, but it won't go any higher because it's seen as an affront to the current belief system. And what you're looking at is a something called a Forge World. Basically, it is a planet that humanity has taken over and dedicated completely to the manufacture of weapons and technology. And the titular Space Marine is going to be one of the characters that you play. Is basically kind of humanity's best hope for staving off alien invasions and even, in some cases, demonic infestations. I think that's a really cool twist. And the Ultramarines are actually kind of like the preeminent Space Marine unit. About 10,000 years before this is supposed to happen in game, the entire galaxy had like a civil war, and the Ultramarines, like, there were other Space Marine what are called chapters, which is basically what they call their Space Marine units. They were devastated in that civil war, and because the Ultramarines were so big, they basically splintered themselves into separate groups to allow these other chapters to survive. And it's really sad though, because Relic, like, this game had really high standards, really high hopes, and I guess in some cases it kind of let it down. I still consider myself a noob when it comes to Warhammer, but I think Relic did a really good job, and it's a pity they went bankrupt.
Captain Titus, the Orcs have massacred the Forge World's forces. And they have taken the planetary defense weapon.
And everyone in the future is British.
Clever of the damned orcs.
Yep, they've got
Keeps us
orcs.
off their backs while they loot the Titan war machine.
Brace for evasive maneuvers.
Pilot, report.
Starboard engine is dead, Sergeant. We are losing altitude.
Get the ship to safety. We'll find another way down.
Aye, Captain. Thunderhawk Lancer 12 returning to launch bay.
I really love the art design in the entire Warhammer 40k series. It's like ancient Rome crossed with Gothic construction.
We need to get to the surface to take out the gun battery. What, do you want to go home already, Sergeant?
Not before having a word or two with the orcs.
Is that wise, Captain? The Codex Astartes does not support this action.
Try to keep up.
So basically what these guys are, they're basically superhuman soldiers that were genetically engineered almost 10,000 years ago. And they're taken from basically common people that meet certain requirements, and they undergo like massive surgeries, chemical and psychological conditioning, and all this stuff. And basically they go from being a normal person who's about 6 foot to between 7 to 7.5 feet tall, and they typically deploy in the armor that Captain Titus is wearing. And even though there are trillions of humans spread across the galaxy, there's not too many space marines comparatively. Many people still regard them as legend. And obviously this guy's this guy's pretty strong, so I'm playing this with a gamepad, so I'm not going to be the most precise person in the world. Ow. This game is really good with combining like distance weapons with hand-to-hand combat. And doing those executions is actually the way you regain health in this game. And it's an interesting game mechanic.
Get off my ship, Space Marine!
And it's a really unique thing, because with these executions you can actually still get hurt while you're doing them. Like, it doesn't offer sudden and that thing right there is called a combat knife, even though it's freaking huge. And in case you didn't get the idea that this game is actually pretty violent. But even then, with this game, it still doesn't hold a candle to the actual, to what the actual like universe, like the books and the tabletop games. Those are all like ridiculously violent and just really, really dark. It's almost like this game is like a twist on Lord of the Rings, because it's got elves, it's got orcs, it's got people, and it's got various different other races, I guess, that would find in like a normal fantasy game. They're just 40,000 years in the future. So if you're new to Warhammer or the 40k universe, don't expect this game to kind of fill you in at all. There are some other games, especially Dawn of War. I think Dawn of War 2 and 3 as well. It came out. Dawn of War 3 came out more recently. Dawn of War 2, I think, was probably like, 6 or 7 years ago, something like that. And they were actually noted for being how much they would push a computer's ability to run the game. I just love that whole skull motif, and up until recently I didn't realize that that's actually part of the whole religious effigy that this society has.
Come in. Damned orcs shot me off course. I've had no word from Leandros.
but I'm picking up Vox chatter from Imperial Guard forces on the ground.
I scarcely thought anyone would be left alive, much less still fighting.
Heading towards the front lines now.
I will meet you there.
Okay, so you can see they actually did really good with the art direction in this game. It's like really like smoky, smoggy. Obviously, you still got ships coming down, and you can tell that this place is really just kind of like a blasted hellscape. And of course, there's what's left of the ship after it's been broken to pieces. I was thinking about getting into making the models for the for this game. Like, I don't know if I'll ever get into the actual like gaming portion of it. But the models themselves, they're just really, really expensive, like prohibitively expensive. And while I'm going through, I'm going to try and keep these episodes to maybe about half an hour a piece, just to keep things simple. And I'm not going to be sitting there trying to discover all like little secrets. They have like these little collectibles. They're kind of like audio logs, similar to what's in Halo ODST. Which is really cool to do a playthrough of that, just because in some ways, I feel like that's my favorite Halo game in the first place.
This way, boys.
I'm gonna kill him first! Shoot me Kill him! Shoot me again! The humans all alone!
This guy might look human, but he's scarcely human at all. And in addition to like the execution, you actually do have a shield. It's that kind of like that gold bar.
Captain!
Destroy them!
This way!
They got no way out of there.
Space Marines! Space Marines!
The animals. Are you wounded?
The Codex Astartes warns against using jump packs to leap blindly into enemy fire, and for good reason.
Your days as a novice are behind you. Why do you still interpret the Codex so narrowly?
I look to its rules for guidance.
We all do. But there are also benefits to thinking for yourself, Anders.
In addition to these guys being like really, really tall and really, really strong, they actually live for upwards of a couple of centuries if they're not killed in combat.
Enemy sighted!
And while so far the combat might seem pretty light, you can actually get overwhelmed pretty easily in some of the later stages.
Sedona's picked up local Imperial Guard communications. They survived under the shadow of that gun. I want to know how.
Keep firing! Keep firing!
Kill them all! Everything in that bunker!
Guardsmen. You saved yourselves. We thought you did.
We would be, my lord, if not for the lieutenant.
Where will we find this lieutenant?
At the front lines. Follow the trench network to the lieutenant's command bunker.
Carry on, Guardsmen. We rendezvous with Sedonis, then we find this lieutenant. We need updated intel on the gun battery.
Through here, my lords. Head out the upper level and continue through the plaza. The bunker is beyond that.
They did really good with making this
Remarkable.
society look
200
worn in.
against 1,000,000 orcs, and they fight on.
What? No,
Even the rust on like some of the pillars.
I can't feel my legs.
I need to see a space marine before then.
When I said this society was backwards, basically that's you either live to serve as a guardsman like those guys back there, or you basically live to serve and make their machines, their war
I'm in
machines.
position at a broken monument near the guard lines.
Quotas must be met. Despite alien...
You never notice, that's where he keeps his combat knife under his backpack.
Space Marines to kill!
Sergeant, I see you found something to keep you busy.
Worry not, Captain. I've saved some orcs for you. The orcs have got that gun well defended, no mistake. But typical orc behavior would be to dismantle or destroy the gun.
And certainly not use it to keep our forces at bay. There's a strategy behind it. Their leader is no fool.
This day is getting interesting.
I may have encountered the orc during our jump to the surface.
That was the orc ship I saw crash near here, I take it. Did he survive?
If the horde hasn't turned on itself, it's still under his control.
Okay, so what I just picked up is called a chainsaw. Basically, this is kind of like the this is like the chainsaw weapon before Gears of War, like even came before Gears of War was even made. Is this whole series is at least from the 1980s onward. Make sure he's dead.
Look out! Dropship!
Grenades.
Dropship incoming!
I'm gonna wind up running out of ammo. Of course, that big ugly bugger. That's one of the more disappointing things about the combat in this game. Is when you do an execution, it doesn't really take physics into account.
Space Marines, thank you. We thought we were done for.
Kidding, low
Commander,
ammo.
Guardsman.
Inside, but the door is sealed.
I believe they will let us through. Imperial Guard, we are Ultramarines. Open this door.
The actor who plays Captain Titus's voice is actually the same as the guy who plays the villain in the first Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr. For the life of me, I can't remember his name, but they really nailed it when they hired him to play the voice. It sounds like he commands authority.
Reinforce their position, hold the line, and stay alive.
They did really good with the art direction. So good.
Thank the Emperor. Second Lieutenant Mira, 203rd Cadian Regiment.
Captain Titus, of the Ultramarines.
You are in command.
I'm all that's left, my lord. Unless my commanders rise from the grave. So far, they seem content to stay put.
Lieutenant, the scouts have returned to forward base.
How many?
2.
Damn. I sent out 10. That damn gun. We don't have the numbers to make an assault. And as you might have seen, it's shooting down all our support vessels.
That is why we are here. Leave the gun to us.
Come with me, then. I should warn you, my lords. We've got a slight orc problem down here.
I had no idea you had a slight problem.
Genetic scan complete. Adeptus Astartes. Access authorized.
Another thing that really, I guess, kind of got this game some bad rap is just because it follows a lot of like action game tropes. You know, you got a guy, he's in big armor, he's really powerful when it comes to like close combat. You know, his weapons are way overpowered.
What
But
do you know of the Titans on
this is before
Only there are
like
troops we sent to guard the Titan
men in power
Invictus
armor with
at
giant
manufacturing
shoulder pads is
jackets.
cool.
But that was 2 weeks ago, and we've lost contact with them.
We need to reach that Titan.
Your fastest route is across the rail bridge behind the gun complex. It leads directly to the western gates of the manufactorial.
Yep.
Form a down firing line!
Herb stomp from hell. At least you have recharging shields. fact that your health doesn't immediately regenerate unless you get an execution adds another layer of strategy to this game. I think that most games like it lack.
Kill the space protector! Die!
The orcs hold the trenches beyond the ruins and the battlements beyond that.
Lots of dead enemies.
The orcs took it almost as soon as we...
I ain't getting away either. This game is just really, really intense.
Authorization confirmed. Access granted.
Okay, so now's as good a time as any. What they were saying when they refer to as like this weapon's called a stalker bolter. Basically, just about any weapon that I get my hands on that fires an actual like physical projectile is called a bolter. And instead of working like a traditional firearm like they do today, these things actually fire like basically miniature rockets, essentially. And of course, they follow the typical patterns of having a long distance, having like a machine gun, you know, having all these different stuff.
That's where the orcs breached the gun battery. We haven't been able to make it inside the wall. There just aren't enough of us.
You have survived this long on your own, Lieutenant. You have done well. But you are no longer alone. We will retake the gun. We will get your reinforcements.
I'll hold you to that, Captain.
Citizens will be turned away from medication.
We're heading back to the command post, Captain. Good luck.
34. Injured workers should seek treatment in Section 46.
Orcs on the high ground.
Disruption of production.
Space Marines! Dig forward! Again! Shoot me again! Space Marine! Space Marine!
It did such a good job making all these guns just seem so powerful.
Look at these cables.
They must be powering orc contraptions.
sections across the battlefield.
Yeah, and instead of just sitting there slicing it, we'll go through some convoluted thing and take them all down.
Captain, assault support pods were dropped in
Kind of
this
looks like an
area.
ODST pod, doesn't it? Yep, jump packs.
Take to the high ground, Captain. We will deal
Ah,
with the
sounds so
orcs
good.
down here.
But I think that's actually where I'm going to end this episode right now. Just because I don't want them to drag on too long. And this is the third time I tried to record this episode, so I'm eager to just kind of get it done and out the door. So, but this is where I plan on stopping anyways. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to actually continuing on with this particular series, at least for the next couple of days. Hopefully, actually finish the entire playthrough, you know. But, you know, even if I don't, I just look forward to putting out as many videos as I can. I'm definitely not going to try and do YouTube as my primary source of income, just because it feels like, to me, this is something to do as a hobby. This is something I do because I think it's fun, and I don't want my livelihood to have to rely on it. So, hopefully y'all stick around with me to see the end of this series if I get there, and I will see you all in the next video.